First off, just in terms of travel itself, I've asked all AMs, DMs, and Paul to stop all travel for the foreseeable future. So your field leaders will be in for sure to visit you, but in some cases, you know what, some inventories or visits that were planned, we've canceled them because I need everybody on the ground and staying local. That doesn't mean they won't be reaching out to you with emails and calls, but, you know, for what we're going through right now, we have to take, you know, different measures. So that's the position that I took and what I want the field leaders to follow, which I know they will. A lot of information coming through from mall teams, without a doubt, or mall management. There's a lot of stuff through the provincial government, depending where you live, certainly the federal government every day. There's also, unfortunately, there's a lot of rumors, which doesn't help, but that's kind of human nature. That happens, especially with social media. So in terms of communication, I'd ask you to really make sure whatever you hear, you make sure it's from a valid source, provincial, federal government, myself, Paul, right, Janine's team, SSD, you know, there's going to be valid communication comes out. There's going to be just craziness. I know there's been a lot of questions around cleaning, hand wipes, sanitizers, and what have you. Mala, who's in charge of supplies at the office, pushing out whatever's left of hand sanitizers to you guys. She's tracking down more to come for next week, as you can appreciate with that. And also Clorox wipes, she's got more coming next week. It's very difficult to get, and she's been working real hard to get more for you guys, supplies-wise. So there's going to be more on the way. Same thing with Kleenex, tissue, paper, right, to help you guys out. And if you run into a situation, you run out, you have to expense it as a store manager.
Just go by yourself.
You certainly can do that, right? So let me throw it open now to you guys. Questions, things you'd like me to address, things you'd like to bring up, please go ahead.
There's different aspects to this. There's different ways that we're dealing with it. If we did have a situation in store where we had somebody that tested positive, of course we would take that very seriously.
Of course.
We do have protocols in place to ensure that, first of all, if that did happen, we would shut the store down. We would bring a cleaning crew in to ensure that the entire store was sanitized, certainly. And then we would look to next steps. But we do have protocols in place, and we have discussed different scenarios and what would be our course of action to deal with it. Thanks, Ty. That was a good question.
Hey, kind of a loaded question, but it's piggybacking off the last one here. And I think this is going to be a question that everybody wants to ask, but nobody is. But especially in my location here, about half of my store at Westminster Mall, about half of the mall is closed. With the narrowing of the hours, knowing that we've got a lot of forced isolation coming onto a lot of the people around here, we actually have a massive increase in traffic in our store. Already today, we've had well over 50 to 75 transactions, which is way more than a normal Tuesday. We have an increase in density in our store, whether it's in the store or outside of the store, it doesn't matter. One of my associates is subject to being around those people. And when we see things like they have the choice to not come into work if they feel like they're in that position, we're seeing all these other companies offering compensation for taking this time off. I feel like we're putting our guys in a position where they have to choose between their livelihood and their personal health. I'm wondering if we've had those conversations at a high level about taking care of the people who work before us.
We have had those conversations. Again, I think each situation is unique. We're trying to provide information. However, it's not a perfect world, and I don't have an answer that, yes, blanketly we would be able to pay wages for everybody who chose not to work. It's an ongoing discussion, however, and I understand the concern. Believe me, I'm concerned too, as is Tim and Paul and all the leaders are. We understand the angst. We understand the concern. And we have spent all day having these discussions with store managers. So we hear you loud and clear.
Tim, Chad is 1722. Is there, just to put it kind of bluntly here, is there a point in which we're just going to put people over profits and just close the stores? Is this something you're discussing actively? There was a post on, sorry, one more thing. the company put up a post on Facebook today saying, "Don't worry, we're still open." And I don't know if you've read the comments, but there's like 150 comments of people just saying, "You're terrible, close your stores." I'm not saying that's what everybody thinks, but it looks like a bad look. And then along that timeline, we just sort of have to go like, you know what? We just need to shut it down for a couple of weeks and be proactive about this instead of waiting until all of our associates start getting sick.
Well, it's a daily conversation, and Janine and I were just on a call about it with the rest of the executive team. Yeah, absolutely. Jim was on it, and it's day by day, and in some cases, like the government saying, "Oh, keep everything open, that's fine," right? Some retailers make their own decision for their own reasons. Some are closing and not paying their associates. Some are forcing them to use vacation. All that. But
for sure, and it's definitely difficult. I just want to know that it's something that we're thinking about, right? So
it's day by day, absolutely.
Day by day.
And I mean, we're always going to be transparent with you guys. We're always going to tell you things on the up and up. And I'm telling you right now, it's a daily conversation, daily meetings, daily discussion. And, it isn't just one part of the country. We've got to look at, the whole thing, too, without a doubt. And absolutely, it's a tough time. And you know what makes it so tough is none of us have been through it before, right? And we absolutely, and this is one of the reasons I want to have these calls with you guys. I couldn't send out an email and just said, okay, here we go, right? But I needed to hear from you guys. And this feedback is all good, but in terms of closing and the hours and that, it's a daily discussion. Absolutely.
Hi, this is Robin from 1767. I just have a quick question, because I know we're still taking trades in right now. Would it be okay, just because sometimes we'll bring in, like, controllers and, they're not the cleanest, is it okay for us to refuse to take those ones right now, or are we just still have to take everything in?
Yeah, that's another thing we've been discussing, and I've been asked this question about that, and also, are we still going to take cash? Because apparently the World Health Organization came out, but no government has really backed that up, and they did say a few weeks back, you shouldn't take cash, you could spread it, right? And the government hasn't really commented on that. In terms of the trades, we're still going to take them in, without a doubt. Knowing that, like any other thing you could handle anywhere, But at this point, we are still taking trades in. Like anything else you handle, you want to be careful with it. But
for sure. Some people are, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, some people are really gross, and some of the things they bring in are not exactly clean at all. Like, is it okay for us to refuse those select pieces?
Dude, she's panicking.
If something is not in a resellable condition like any other trade, you've always had the right to refuse it. If you can't truly resell that product, that's always been our policy with trade.
That's not the question.
You want to take a look at it. So if that was the case and something was just not acceptable, yeah, you certainly can. And obviously we want to handle that in a professional way and say, look, I'm not able to resell that. I can't accept it.
Dustin from 2236. Just a quick question.
Sure.
We tried to reach out to customer service today for a customer inquiry, but they had said that the department was closed and to reach out through email.
No, the department is not closed. I can answer that. They're not taking calls right now. The majority of the communication that they get is via email.
Brandon from 896 here. Part of our hiring process is doing a reference check, and one of those questions is how does the candidate make their own judgment calls? And I think one of my biggest questions here is, as a company, what sort of judgment calls are we making? I mean, there's very specific parts of our communities that are quite vulnerable to this virus, and being open is encouraging people to come to our stores, which makes us a hotspot for transmission. It's a part of our duty as humans to make sure that we're not doing that. There's elderly people, healthcare workers, family members that are immunocompromised, all these things. I mean, with crowds standing outside of our store for Animal Crossing, even if we're not letting them in, it just seems quite dangerous for us to be doing that. What sort of judgment is EB doing that isn't requiring federal involvement?
Well, that's, as I mentioned, in terms of controlling the crowd coming in, if somebody's lined up outside your store, malls. You got to talk to them. And I mentioned this earlier, right? You got to work with your malls. So there could be a lineup, right? And you can't control a lineup outside your store. You're responsible for the lease line in. In terms of, people coming in and still staying open, like I mentioned, it's a day-by-day discussion. Things could change this time tomorrow.
Day by day.
I don't know, right? But we're having daily discussions on it because we're taking it serious.
Daily.
And we know, really, we're a hot location right now because with people, deciding to stay or having rather to stay home because like the kids are off or, whatever number of reasons. Hey, they're coming into our store and they're grabbing product and you know what? We're helping her to make a great experience. I know you guys are. It's kind of the nature of how our business is, right? So we are looking at that, but we also know, exactly what you're saying is people are coming in and we have to be careful of that. So I think you also, in a mall, you got to work with your mall manager in terms of control for that. And then they're willing to do that. In a strip, as I said, you have to, you've got permission to control it as it comes in. Absolutely. The other thing around, the launch Friday, people can come Saturday if you want to welcome them to do that, or Sunday, the scheduling of the pickup, I think, is
What
a
does
great
that
idea.
change?
We're looking at every option we can, but, you have to know how fluid this is and how much it changes. It's day to day, but we're certainly having discussions every day on it.
Tim, it's Ty from 2221 again. I just have another quick question.
Sure.
So being a leader in the store, I've been getting, because of the everyday uncertainty, I've been getting staff coming up to me and they're scared. They're worried. They're starting to think that, the dollar is more important than them here. So I've been trying to reassure them, but can you guys, from an HR point of view, send out something saying, yeah, we do care. We're on top of this?
Well, I think that we already have done that. Like I sent out a couple of communications myself. Jim sent out a communication.
Wow.
We have another communication which I referenced earlier that's going out. But
That's
I
so
think
condescending,
they
man.
probably need to hear it from you because I think that, as a store leader, they don't work for me. They don't really know me. I mean, they've seen the communications that we sent out corporately, but really that face-to-face interaction with their store leader who can reassure them and have those conversations, especially after a conference call like this, where you can share additional information with them. Front, you've been heard, and we're taking it away and we're looking at it and evaluating it. I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in on that.
Well, certainly for myself, Janine, I know as a field leader group, we've been talking about everything from gratitude to just being, thankful for everything happening in front of us. I think Hannah's taken a real unique approach where I think, Hannah, you're doing some daily calls, 15-minute daily calls, where she's opened it up to every member of the team to ask your field leader any questions. I know our field group has a call after this call to talk about plans. If those are the things you need, Ty, and you have suggestions, like feel free to reach out to Rob, myself. Whatever you need from us, we can certainly do. Here, what we don't want to do, though, is come across as fake, right?
Oh.
So if suddenly we haven't been saying anything and then all you get is the written word, it lacks sincerity or authenticity. But if you have some ideas, if people need a personal call here and there, I think we're leading through empathy in this, and that's how we'll continue. So I value for everyone on this call any suggestions we can do. So we're open to it.
Hi, this is Sean from 1720. I just had a quick question, sort of related. It's kind of a bit more tame than everything else, but with the stores being on reduced hours, in situations like, for example, receipt request, everything, the emailing the head office, is head office itself on some sort of reduced hours, or can we? So we can perfectly kind of
not on. Nope, we're not on reduced hours. We're all working full-time hours. In fact, I think if you polled most of us, we're working extended hours.
Anybody else?
It's Cody
Hey,
from
Tim,
89.
it's Joanne at 862.
Hi.
I am in a situation where we had a staff member text me, and she's going to self-isolate, and
with everything that's going on, I have a few staff that are a little on edge, right? And my thought process as we talk about this is like, okay, so we go ahead, we do these launches, we're going to have mass amount of people. Has we thought farther ahead to say, I can't control people that come out of isolation to get a game, if not they're sick, because really we can't control that, nor can you. And these bigger gatherings of 50 people or more, and we're having all these people going in our store, what if people do get more of the spread and stuff happens, and like, what if more people become sick because of certain things out of our control?
It's out of your control, right? It just is, and that's the same for all of us. You know, I could go to the gas station today and use the pump after somebody who's exposed me to it, you know, or I could touch a product that somebody touched at the Shoppers Drug Mart, and, you know, you could get it, unfortunately. So, you know, I think the same sort of thing. We got to look at the communication, as Janine mentioned, about, you know, self-isolation, and also communicating with your field leader on it. If people are getting sick or they think they have the symptoms, they got to self-isolate. They got to stay at home, right? They got to quarantine themselves. And that's why it's important to keep communicating. But, you know, we don't know the turnout for Friday. There's no doubt about it. It could be people who decided to stay away. There's not a perfect answer for you, because it's day by day, and we got to follow the direction of the government. And this is why, you know, Janine and I, as executives in this company, and with Jim and the other executives, are talking every day about it. So, you know, you can take it to heart when I say that. I'm not just giving you an answer to move on to the next question for everybody. We're taking it to heart. We're very concerned about making sure we make the right decision, because you know what? There's a lot on the table for it, without a doubt. And I'm not saying that like, no, we're staying open to save money. No, we got to think of each of you, and it's you know, it's a part of a daily conversation.
So Leah from 83. So this is just something that I've kind of been noticing throughout the couple days amongst like customers and other staff members, and then like even on this call, like in regards to like our company, our image, and what we're doing to participate in helping to stop the spread of COVID-19. Honestly, like it feels like we're being really tarnished, guys. Like, just to like put it very bluntly, like even our customers, our staff, like everybody's very clearly scared. And I know we're saying we're not trying to encourage people to go out. We're not trying to do this by hosting like even a big game launch. Like we are trying to encourage people to come and grab it, right? Like we're doing our pre-order calls, we're doing all that stuff. We're getting people to come in and pick up. I know we're a business, trust me. I definitely understand this, but even in this call alone, I've heard you, like people said, we're a hot location, but we're not inviting people in. We can't control what people are doing outside of our store while we're monitoring how many people are coming in at a time. But by having these launches, having these situations, having these sales, we are encouraging people to sit in large groups and everything like that and come in. We're encouraging like close quarter contact. Like look at Calgary, how quickly they've jumped from just one gathering. What happens if it ends up somebody who should be in quarantine but decided that they absolutely have to have this collector's edition for the game, or their family who's not exhibiting symptoms right now comes in to grab it for them. They get a whole bunch of people infected, and then one of our locations is now a reason why so many people are sick, and there's such a strain on society and our health system. Like, what are we going to do at this point? I know it's a tough question. I know you guys are trying to do things day by day, but we have to start thinking ahead of this too.
Well, we are thinking ahead.
We are.
Right? Yeah, and again, you know, it's part of the day-to-day discussion, without a doubt. And you know, I hear exactly what you're saying, but I don't have the answer for Friday right now. And this is why we're having these discussions every single day about this, because we've heard these concerns right across the board. And this is why we're having these calls, so this can come to the forefront. But we are taking it, and we are looking at every single day what our next step is.
Brandon, from I think a big question that we're all wondering is, if we do wind up closing our stores, are staff going to be getting paid?
Well, I think we already kind of talked about that. We don't know. We're discussing, in all honesty, that's part of the discussions that we've been having, and we're trying to navigate through, you know, difficult times with really uncharted territory. So we're trying to come up with a plan of action that is going to support everybody. And certainly we're trying to make the right decisions. It's so complex, and we are doing our best. I know for some of you that's difficult to hear because you want us to have answers for you. The truth is that we just don't have all the answers at this point, but we're working hard to get them. We all have got a lot invested in this organization and in all of you, and we certainly want to do the right thing. So as soon as we have answers and support that we can share, we certainly will do that. I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer for you.
I just had a question, like kind of piggybacking off of what Leah had said about just being socially responsible, and other businesses such as like Fossil and like Lush have just like closed down their locations to be more socially responsible about what's going on. And like for the backlash that we've gotten for the post from EB Canada on Facebook about shutting stores down and people are just upset that we're open, are you guys gonna post anything social media wise, just saying that you've heard those concerns from customers and that we're doing everything that we can?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Just for, again, like just customers and like the backlash that we've gotten that we're still going to be open for Animal Crossing. And the communication that was posted on Facebook, it didn't have that much information besides that, like, hey, yeah, we're doing our part, but come get Animal Crossing. Are you guys going to post more or like just have a more social media presence to address this and to be more socially responsible for what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not in charge of social media. I'll discuss it with the social media team, right? Jamie Petrillo leads that. So it's certainly, I'll talk to them about it, right? And we'll ensure the message is clear and we're doing our part for sure. Well, I think at this point, we will wrap it up. You guys can get back to your day. As you've heard from Janine, Tiffany, Jeanette, Paul, myself, keep the communication coming. And you know what? It's uncharted. None of us have ever been through it before. It's a totally different scenario and situation. And it's unnerving, no doubt about it. There's anxiety, but I just ask you to, keep supporting each other too. This is a great group that reaches out from store to store, province to province. Keep doing that. That means a lot to your fellow manager, your fellow AFMs, when other people are calling to see how things are going. And keep reaching out. And again, I'll remind the field leaders on the call to make sure you get out in front and are calling and supporting your teams. We're going to get through it, without a doubt. So let's stay positive with it. Keep the concerns coming. I really appreciate the questions and the thought everybody gave to things and to hopping on the call here. And as more developments and updates are needed, we'll make sure you receive them. So I'll let you get back to your day. Thanks again, everyone. Be safe. Have a great rest of the day with your teams and.
Yeah.